If there was one genre of games that defined the golden years of Roblox for me, it was the roleplay games. Yeah, I know I'm outing myself as a bona fide LARPer, but do y'all even know the kind of peak I'm familiar with? So on the surface, roleplaying, it's just pretending to be someone you're not, right? It's playing dress up, it's coming up with a whole imaginary character, it's me saying I'm broke, it's imaginary. I'm not broke. But back in the day, 2016, 2017, it was more than that, honestly. At its core, you were 5 rectangles and a sphere with a crude outfit, and yet you were coming up with Shakespearean narratives on the fly. On the fly, I learned vocabulary that I would never use for another 10 years, bro. I came up with plot twists. I made The Empire Strikes Back look rudimentary. I'm convinced that the people writing Marvel movies were just logging into Superhero Life 1 and 2 and just copying down every message in the chat. Meanwhile, we were all behind the screen looking like this. Y'all didn't even know! But around that time, I stopped playing, so I frankly have no idea what happened in the last few years. But what I do know is that I came back, and it's a ghost town. I see games in the top charts with like 600k people playing at the same time, beating out games made by billion-dollar companies. But let's be honest, you don't even need to log in to know that these are all just like hangout games. But let's go back in time a little bit. First, I want to look at what was most similar to what's currently popular. Welcome to the main event. Now, I don't want anybody talking to me about the American dream if they weren't on Welcome to the Town of Robloxia back in the day. This was really a pivotal moment in my timeline, because what you mean I was planning on getting a mortgage to buy my own home and start a family during my time off from kindergarten? Yeah, I'm sorry, Mom, my homework is a side quest now because I just found out that there's a criminal on the loose in Robloxia and I genuinely have to catch them. And I honestly think I remember the layout of the school in Robloxia better than I do for the school I was going to when I first played that game. Welcome to the Town of Robloxia was a classic RP game that was probably the first mega popular life sim RP game. It had various jobs to play. It had a Roblox Mart, a school, a factory, an airfield, a fire office, and a Roblox news station, along with various jobs to play as, from being a baby, toddler, student, to store cashier, factory clerk, factory worker, criminal, etc. You could also buy homes, sell them, lock the doors, and open the garage door. Like, you could interact with quite a lot, honestly. This game paved the way for games like Brookhaven, and especially for the game I'm going to mention next. Unfortunately, however, before we get to that, Welcome to the Town of Robloxia is dead, and it wasn't a peaceful death either. Following the April 2012 incident, Roblox took the developer of the game to a nice farm upstate. It was last updated in 2014, but it remained popular until the game was also taken down in 2017. The developer re-released the game on another page, but it never had much success. There were sequels like Robloxity and Welcome to the City of Robloxia, and I recognize the names as if I played them, but after checking them out, I honestly don't have any memories from either one, so I don't know what's up with that, and I'm not going to comment much on them today. Welcome to the main event. This game may have been Game of the Year 2014 because how did it genuinely convince kids across the nation to prepare for raising a kid? Now, I genuinely think I could have gone without parents in real life because people on this were trying their hardest. We actually had people being pillars of the community on here and adopting kids and animals, going through hardship left and right. People genuinely had a second chance at life on this. Adopt and raise a cute baby, or just adopt and raise a baby, or just adopt and raise. It had like 10 different names, okay? It was similar to Welcome to Robloxia, but here the focus is obviously mainly on raising kids. It has this stroller tool, and I gotta be honest, I struggle with remembering the names of like my best friends, but I genuinely think I could rebuild this from memory in Roblox Studio. It, along with the last game, also featured this morph magic tool that let people turn into, well, obviously babies and toddlers, but also dogs, having a like peg leg and hook hand samurai armor, this classic skeleton thing. Like, I don't even know what's going on here. This one was created in 2014, but apparently it was a copy of a game from 2013, but that original game just teleported you into this new 2014 one. It wasn't really popular until 2016 or 2017, though from here on out it was just a decline. The creator was embroiled in controversy around 2017 when he did more shady stuff where he teleported players to other games as soon as they tried to join, which of course Roblox found misleading, and then he also sold misleading game passes, so he got banned. And some YouTuber tried to buy it from him. He said that the original creator would keep 80% of the profits, but then the YouTuber just stole that shit. It's similarly not at all popular today, but I also think it similarly paved the way for today's games like Brookhaven, Life Together, and I assume Adopt Me. I gotta be honest, I think I played that once like years ago, and I have no idea what's in it today. But the next game is one that I don't think has a successor in any meaningful form today, but that's for a reason. Let's be honest, those last two were the kind of social hangout games that still exist in some form today, but this one is gone. And again, for good reason too, because this was dangerous. It wasn't the overly serious LARP where you have admins and moderators, but you were still playing a character you created and trying to make a fun story with other people. It was self-moderated, and people actually had fun. Now, I have nostalgia for those past two games, of course. I played them as a baby, but this one is what I'm making this video for. I'm talking about... Let's go. Welcome to the main event. Now again, I honestly think the government had to step in because we posed a genuine, credible threat to the Writers Guild. The LARP was so strong back in the day that I think people on here genuinely reenacted Infinity War before it was even announced. Don't ever say the word ball if you don't know the suit glitch. Both methods. How were people making genuine art back in the day? Like we were playing with a few rectangles and people somehow made the fucking Spider-Man suit one for one. I think Christopher Nolan stopped making superhero movies because he knew he was outclassed by the LARP that was happening on here. Superhero Life 1 came out on April 3rd, 2015, and it quickly became like moderately popular. It had a character creator that allowed you to save multiple characters with both a hidden superhero identity and an everyday persona. The map though was just a tiny square island with a 4x4 set of buildings that all looked really similar to each other. I guess there were locations like a school, but they really weren't notable from the exterior, and the character creator itself was just not it. It may have been alright for the time, but what came out in September of 2016 just changed everything. Superhero Life 2 is when the king, CJ Oyer, made his magnum opus. Now today, he's like the tech lead on Blox Fruits, a game with like 215,000 people playing as I write this. So he's making that bread, okay? And he deserves that money, because what can I even say about his masterpiece? It was essentially Superhero Life 1, but with an iconic world map, okay? So it was a small island too, but every building was unique and served a specific roleplay purpose, so it felt a lot larger than it really was. The character creator UI was massively improved, making it easier to find clothing pieces you're looking for, and the cherry on top was the suit glitch. Yo, the suit glitch! It's so peak, I don't even have words for it. There were two methods, right? But the older one, you know what, the one I remember, here's a tutorial. You reset your character, spam the character edit button, then you swap identities and take civilian clothing, and you can put it on the superhero identity, or vice versa. Now, this was crazy back then. Bro, I was like 10 years old, playing out some gritty crime vigilante drama with other 10-year-olds back in 2017, 2018. It was so peak thanks to this suit glitch. And this is a side tangent, but I genuinely don't think there is any kind of way to capture this kind of gameplay today because chats are just dead in here, and most modern roleplay games outside of Roblox, or inside of Roblox frankly, are either just traditional RPGs like Cyberpunk or Skyrim, or they're overly strict roleplay servers where the story is at least mostly gameplay driven, which, yes, is a bad thing when we're talking about using your imagination to convey any action you can think of over text. No developer will ever be able to code, model, animate every little action that we take, like having a specific tone or facial expression. Instead, people are out here playing gameplay-driven games like 5M, which is just GTA but more restrictive, which is the opposite of games like this, where the story is driven by player text and therefore can be anything described by text, which is a fucking lot of things, bro. Books! I never played much D&D, but from what I know it as, I can only describe Superhero Life as being reflective of a short period of time where Roblox had narrative games, sort of like D&D, but that were not driven by character sheets, rules, and a designated dungeon master or organizer, but by the honor system and whatever logically made sense to both parties in the story. It was like a book being written in an improvisational duet. And then Superhero Life 3 came out and it didn't have the suit glitch, and the dev tried to charge for some cosmetics. Mind you, cosmetics built into Roblox. Speaking of D&D, there is actually one last game I'm going to talk about that maybe fits the analogy even better. Now, I haven't heard the name Kingdom Life in a good few years, but what the hell do you mean the developer did dirty things which are too offensive to say on a Roblox wiki? Bro, look at how the wiki writes about June 22nd, 2022. What did he do? Kingdom Life 2 was created in July of 2012, and frankly had similar gameplay to Superhero Life 2, being a roleplay game where people were trying to craft whole narratives instead of just hanging out. I think who you chose to be really revealed a lot about you, because why? Was I always playing some rat thief hiding in the shadows while everybody else was a noble knight or princess? It had a fairly basic character creator with only a few outfits for each gender and fantasy race, but the map was very expansive, with buildings meant to populate like a whole village, a large castle with a full interior, main and hidden side entrances to various buildings. There were areas for mages, forest elves, etc. It really felt like a whole fantasy world. After that controversy, the original game seemed to lose almost all of its players, but groups have recreated the original game, and it seems like one copy of the game genuinely does maintain a decent player count with occasional activity, which actually does kind of raise my hopes a good bit. Now, there are a few more I wanted to mention, like Clear Skies Over Milwaukee and the various farmer jailer games, but there's just not enough time for them. I honestly really wanted to talk more about each of these already, so I might just make more videos on this topic. But all in all, I think these more serious games are very quickly becoming a relic of the past, with some notable exceptions. However, I don't think there is anywhere you can replicate this on the wide scale of the past, other than with these niche communities. And this is the case on or off Roblox. I think the best takeaway might be that it birthed a whole generation of kids who were D1 LARPers and just strangely good at writing, despite being like 10 years old. It happened at the perfect time. For Superhero Life, it was popular at a time with Marvel movies being at their peak. The Flash and Arrow were still flying high on TV, but now it may be gone. And it may be LARPing again, but I genuinely think that that imagination had limitless potential for fun, a kind of potential that transcended what was possible in other genres of gaming. But that chapter seems closed now.
Icarus laughed as he fell, for he knew that falling meant he had soared.
Thank you. Now watch this drive.